Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Movies for Life YouTube channel. And welcome to this 1982 horror movie review video as part of my overall 1980s horror movie series. So, the movie we're going to take a look at today is one that I don't have the physical media for. It's one that I streamed off of YouTube. But that movie is The Aftermath from 1982, which is a very schlocky sci fi horror film. So let's just go ahead and get into it. The Aftermath. So, The Aftermath, also known as Zombie Aftermath, is a 1982 science fiction horror independent film directed by Steve Barkett. So the movie opens with three astronauts returning to Earth after a nuclear holocaust. They also saw biological weapons used. Although one dies in the crash landing, the two survivors, Newman and Matthews, encounter some mutants before discovering that Los Angeles has been completely destroyed. Seeking shelter, the men take refuge in an abandoned mansion. Newman later encounters a young boy, Chris, hiding in a museum with the curator. Before the curator passes away from radiation poisoning, Newman takes Chris under his care. While out seeking supplies one day, Newman and Chris encounter Sarah, who's running from a gang of bandits led by Cutter. So yeah, that's kind of the setup, beginning, the premise of the aftermath from 1982. As far as the cast goes, we have Steve Barkett as Newman, Len Margulies as Sarah, Sid Haig as Cutter, Christopher Barkett as Chris, Elfie Martin as Getman, and Forrest J. Ackerman as the museum curator. So yeah, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for the 1982 sci-fi horror movie, The Aftermath. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Very entertaining, very schlocky, very cheesy. Um, this is one of those 80s schlocky, cheesy movies that I really enjoy and can get into because it's almost certain aspects of it anyway are so bad they're good. And I could certainly recognize that in this movie. So let's just go ahead and start with the things that I like about the aftermath. Sid Haig, got to start with him as he's the lead villain, the lead gang member, or the leader of this gang, I should say, who's kind of taken over since the apocalypse and this Holocaust and everything, and they're basically running roughshod over people. Uh, if they run into men and women, they kill the men and they sort of pillage the women and the children, have their way with them before ultimately killing them if they try to escape. So I mean, they've basically marked themselves the law. They could do whatever they want. Cutter, who's played by Sid Haig, is the leader of that, and Sid Haig just has such a great screen presence to him, and he also plays a bad guy very well. He has that sort of sick and maniacal character down very well, and I just really enjoyed him in this movie. I thought his character was really interesting, but his acting was the thing that really, I think without him in this movie, I don't think it's quite as effective, even from a cheesy, so bad it's good standpoint. So, Sid Haig, the performance, his character, and his screen presence are definitely the first thing that really stood out to me in this movie. I think just the overall schlockiness and cheesiness fun to the movie. It feels a bit like a combination of a 50s sci fi throwback, like Attack of the Giant Ants or something like that. It has that while also combining that sort of late 70s, early 80s post apocalyptic zombie atmosphere and feel at the same time. It's just really enjoyable overall. That combination just really worked in this movie, and I had a lot of fun with it. I have to say, there's a good amount of blood and gore in the movie, all done practically, the practical effects with them. But it even includes that of children being killed. Granted, you don't actually, in a lot of cases, you don't actually see children being killed. It's more the aftermath or, seeing their bodies after the fact and being all bloodied and shot up or whatever the case might be. So, in that regard, this movie also really goes for it. It doesn't really hold back. It's got some edge and some balls to it. But yeah, the blood and gore being practical. Including children. The violence is definitely on screen, and the kills are definitely in your face. Especially one scene early on in the movie having to do with a firing squad, where about 4 or 5 guys are on their knees lined up, and these gang members led by Cutter, they just they just go balls to the walls, just shooting these guys. You see heads getting blown off. You see decapitations. You see a lot of chest and back shots. Yeah, it's probably the most graphic and brutal scene of the movie. But from a practical effects gore standpoint, it's very effective and very in your face. So it's definitely going to satisfy you gore hounds out there. The main character of Newman, I thought had a bit of a character backstory, which was interesting. Having had a wife and son that died about 5 years earlier, I liked that. I felt that it provided some depth to the overall story and why he's not quite as effective as his cohort who comes back and survives the space crash from space with them as far as what's happened to the Earth because or to the to the planet I guess as it were in the U.S. But he's less affected by it because he's already kind of not liked um, things because of what happened to his son and his daughter. I just thought that was interesting. I thought it, a lot of times in the movies like this, you don't even get a lot of backstory for the main characters, and I thought they at least made a valiant effort there to provide some to that character. The score in this movie is very fun and upbeat. Again, it's weird. It adds to the so bad it's good kind of thing because at one point the movie's very schlocky and cheesy, but then at the other point, like I was mentioning, you have guys just getting blown away on their knees, and you have a lot of serious stuff going on. Also, the nudity in this movie, and a couple of women with the nudity being taken advantage of from an essay standpoint. I mean, they don't really show too much where it goes over the top or too far, but you definitely know what's going on, what they're trying to do, and so that can be kind of tough as well. So it's the score is just really weird in this movie because it's definitely more of a schlocky, cheesy kind of score for a movie that has some balls and some edge to it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, there's definitely nudity in the movie, including our main character, Sarah, played by Lynn Margulies, who has a love scene with Newman, played by Steve Barquette, who's also the director, the writer, and the producer of this movie. He does it all, I guess. They have a love scene where I think that's where she shows the nudity, but there's another female character that's being pillaged by the gang members. So just know that kind of going in. There's some rough stuff in this movie, despite the cheese and the schlockiness that's involved with it. As far as cons go, some of the acting and the dialogue delivery by the actors is really bad, and it reminds you of the low budget schlocky nature of the movie. Which again, some people are going to say that's not a con, that's part of the fun, but it's just something I'm pointing out. Some of the effects, in terms of not the gore effects, but like the space, the explosions, the lightning from the storm that's going on, they look pretty bad. They're a little bit more CGI'd at a time where CGI wasn't very well honed yet. So those were things that stuck out to me in a negative way. Um, Especially the way it opens with a spaceship flying through space. It's definitely not Star Wars worthy. Let's just leave it at that. The main character does a voiceover thing explaining what's going on, his feelings, things happening that I really didn't care for. It was probably more indicative of that time that the movie was made, and for this type of movie, um, like like that 50s sci-fi thing. I don't know how many of those movies were done, but just the voiceover narration by the main character. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite thing. I mean, I prefer to know what's going on and characters' emotions based on them actually being able to act and showing those emotions through emoting. And again, a lot of the actors couldn't do that in this movie. To a certain extent, even Steve Barkett as Newman, because he directed the movie and threw himself in it as an actor. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't care for that very much. There's some sound production issues at times as well, sound design, where you can't really hear the characters, what they're saying, or the dialogue. It's very soft spoken, like, yeah, we really sit back and think about what we're doing here. And it doesn't happen throughout the whole movie, but just the inconsistency of the sound design and production of the movie. Again, it points to the low budget nature of this kind of movie, and just the amateurish sort of aspect with that. Some of the editing as well didn't really provide for much momentum being carried forward from scene to scene. But I don't know, guys. That's all I've got. Overall, this is a very schlocky, cheesy sci-fi, post-apocalyptic early '80s movie that I can have a lot of fun with. I was engaged in it a lot, mostly because of Sid Haig and the cheesy score and just some of the things that were going on. The gore, obviously, the kills. But overall, I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. Um, which might sound a little bit harsh. Uh, but I also recognize, even though I like this movie, and I wouldn't mind adding it to my collection at some point because I can have fun with it. You know, being honest, it's not a very good movie. It's not a very believable movie. It's just one to have fun with, and so 6.5 out of 10 for the aftermath from 1982. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen this movie, what you think of it in the comments down below. If you haven't seen it, it is available on YouTube and I think a couple other streaming places as well. I do see that it is available out there on a Blu-ray. Um, I haven't ordered it or anything like that. Maybe I will at some point down the road, but check it out. I would recommend it, especially if you're in the mood for just a fun, entertaining, schlocky early '80s post-apocalyptic movie. Just don't expect to be scared, or have you know, a lot of terror involved in it. But anyway, with that being said, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It would really help me out for the future and the content of my channel going forward. Make sure you hit the like button and notification button down below as well so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. With all that being said, hope everybody's doing well this holiday season. But as always, stay scared. Bye.